Unorthodox reactions, unorthodox intros, code opens, the lot.
Got you on camera, you little pedo.
It's fine. As I was saying, unorthodox intros. Today,
Cold open.
we have an overly sarcastic production video.
Yeah.
Do you want to focus for this intro? Overly sarcastic production intro.
Earthquake.
City minutes, Britain and Ireland.
It's an earthquake. Make sure you like, comment, subscribe if you want to. Earthquake.
You ready?
Earthquake.
Alright, let's get it.
Earthquake.
If you want to scope out all of modern history from a single vantage
Well, that's the video. Thank you.
point, you can do a heck of a lot worse than London. The capital of England got itself an involuntary fresh start in 1666 when the old medieval city burned to the dust. So with a blank canvas and a hefty allowance from the
I missed that. You made me
worse
miss
than
that.
London. The capital of England got itself an involuntary fresh start in 1666 when the old medieval city burned to the dust. So with a blank canvas
What
and a
happened
hefty
there?
allowance from the ever-expanding British Empire, London rolled out a flurry of shiny new buildings, fancy church spires, and the neoclassical colossus that is St. Paul's Cathedral. That's a good go. As the empire grew and London became even more prosperous, public
Wait, is that the
megaworks
one that's
continued with a new seat for the British Parliament at the neo-Gothic Westminster Palace. In the
Is that
1800s,
London?
London was sporting some of Europe's hottest architecture, but soon came the Industrial Revolution, which literally upended the entire city. Coal-burning factories blew smoke into the sky, railway stations the size of cathedrals transported people, goods, and materials, the world's first subway system carved tunnels underneath the city, and the population swelled by a factor of 7 with newcomers from the Isles and across the worldwide empire. Such vast and rapid transformation gives London a fair claim to being the first modern city. And all the while, London was the driving engine of the world's biggest empire. Heck of a vantage point
Pretty
indeed.
cool.
When Scotland signed the Act of Union with England in 1707, their old capital city of Edinburgh was in rough shape. The hilltop castle was a scenic reminder of Scotland's famously combative medieval history, but the city around it was small, dark, cramped, and unimaginably filthy. The one ace up Scotland's sleeve were the Scots themselves, who took the Protestant Reformation as an excuse to whip up one of the most free-thinking and robust education systems you'd find anywhere. This kicked up an intellectual whirlwind in the 1700s, as Scottish philosophers, economists, historians, poets, and scientists made Edinburgh the cerebral capital of Enlightenment Europe. Before too long, Scots were relieved and probably a bit impressed to see their city finally catch up with their heads. Starting in 1767, Edinburgh drained the Norloch and built a gridded, orderly, and oh so neoclassical new town on the other side.
never
Not to
been
be
to
outdone,
Edinburgh.
Victorian architects in the late
don't think I've ever
1800s
been.
remodeled
I
the
don't
old
think so,
town in
bro.
a gorgeous neo-Gothic, so I see this as an absolute win.
We'll have to
Edinburgh
go.
prospered off of a ballooning British Empire, but it largely sidestepped the Industrial Revolution, instead remaining the academic, architectural, and administrative heart of Scotland, a city shaped by the very ideas it represents.
That looks pretty cool.
Not only did Wales play second fiddle to England for the millennium since its conquest by the Normans, but Wales had never been one for big urban centers. Architecturally, it was better known for the absolute ass-ton of castles the Normans built to keep Wales in line, such as Cardiff Castle, set on top of an old Roman fort from 1,000 years earlier. But in the 1800s, Cardiff suddenly became an integral link in the chain of British cities because of a little old thing called coal.
Manchester.
During the Industrial Revolution, this precious rock let all the trains go choo-choo and made all of Britain's fancy new machines actually do anything, and southern Wales happens to be loaded with the stuff. After some initial upgrades to the dockyards in the early 1800s, Cardiff became one of the busiest ports in the world by the middle of the century, with all Welsh coal flowing through their docks and rail yards to reach the rest of Britain and beyond. In the Victorian period, Brits poured into Wales in general, and Cardiff in particular, ratcheting up the city's population from 2,000 to over 80 times that by 1900. While the city took new shape, it also polished up Cardiff Castle and other original structures. At the turn of the millennium, Cardiff became the seat of the new Welsh Senate and built itself a lovely parliament building. From one castle to the capital is quite the glow-up. Dublin is the city that dragged Ireland kicking and screaming through its history. It was first founded in the 800s by Viking traders, raiders, and after the initial Roman conquests of 1169, nice, it was the main English foothold in Ireland for the next 5 centuries. Holding the dubious distinction of being England's first colony, Dublin was the biggest urban center on the island, and it would receive quite the makeover following its hammering in the British Civil Wars. Replanned basically from scratch, the new Dublin was packed with Enlightenment ideals. Wide streets, classical designs, and splendid public buildings. Built by By and for British Protestants, with boatloads of empire money, the native Catholic Irish population was distinctly among the lower of Dublin's classes, and this caused some tension. In 1798, the Irish rebelled again, tried to capture Dublin, but succeeded only in antagonizing the British for another straight century. Don't worry, they kept on rebelling, culminating in the Easter Rising in 1916, Ireland's 3-year war for independence in 1919, and a brief civil war ending in 23, all of them fought in the streets of Dublin, which became the capital of the Irish Republic. Buildings like its post office capture the city's history, a grand Georgian edifice riddled with bullet holes from the Easter Rising, a beautiful city kicking and screaming. As British architects throughout history have bragged, the monument to their empire is the cities they left behind. The numerous faults of the British Empire notwithstanding, those architects had a point. These cities didn't just find cool new ways to stack up stone, but they set the model for how modern cities interacted and meaningfully reinforced each other, both ideologically and industrially. With any of these pieces missing, Britain wouldn't have been nearly as successful as it was. But what might be most
But considering like how small Britain is compared to like other countries, I feel like the impact that they've made, like from what like he's just described, is actually pretty impressive.
It is, honestly.
Yeah.
But it is to say, like, they did conquer, like, how many?
Yeah, because they didn't like their own country because it's terrible.
It's not terrible, but yeah.
The weather's terrible, sorry.
Yeah,
that's what I mean. The country itself.
Yeah.
It's just the weather.
What's
Literally
impressive
the
is how
only
rapidly
friggin'
they all
rain
redefined
part.
themselves, basically from scratch inside of only a century or two. But critically, they kept the castles. Are they practically useful? Mostly not. Are they sick as hell? Yes. Credit to the Brits. They make some damn fine cities.
Yeah, 100%.
Thank you so much for watching. I have
Thank you for the information.
That was a lot of information to take in one go. I will be very honest with you.
All I know is it's just impressive.
It is quite impressive, in all honesty.
Didn't know that, so it's pretty cool.
Oh, sorry about that, guys. It's like
I guess
17 a.m. here.
Birmingham is like what, the second biggest city coming up now, next to London.
Is it?
Yeah.
It is, isn't it?
Because I think
Newcastle?
I don't think. Nah, I think Birmingham is probably, in terms of like population, Birmingham is probably bigger than Newcastle.
Okay, yeah, makes sense then, probably.
Yeah.
But anyway, guys, we don't want to keep you any longer, even though we'll probably just be talking to our most favorite people. We appreciate you if you're still here. We appreciate you if you left early for whatever reason it may be. Make sure you hit the like, you comment, and you subscribe if you want to. We would appreciate it greatly. Like I said, it's been another Unorthodox reaction. This is another Unorthodox video. Guess what we did? We reacted. You're not gonna say your
Like, comment, subscribe.
no. I said that. That's one.
Comment below if you know where this is from and who does this.
Cold.
I want to see.
But guys,
I
that's
want to see.
it.
I think I'm doing it right, but I'm not sure. But comment below if you know where this is from and who does this.
Stay blessed and look after your loved ones, man.
In a bit.
Peace.